Having said all this, we will now observe the great causal body, or the Turiya state, which is endowed with the knowledge that comes after the study of forgetfulness. Here, let us digress a little. Those aspirants who have taken the traditional mantra, according to the Sampradaya tradition of Shri Sadguru Basahib Maharaj, may have doubts at this point. The study of the causal body means that one should learn to forget everything. Does this also mean that repeating the mantra given by the Guru and the color or forms that stand before one's half-closed eyes should also be forgotten? The answer is yes. You have to do this. Before doing this, while repeating the mantra, the colors and whatever forms are present, and the aspirant must check for oneself that the mental noises and chatter cease and die out completely. When concentrating on the tip of the nose with half-closed eyes in relaxed manner, with the exception of the repetition of the mantra and the color form, there should not rise any other word or form. This having been done, even that has to be forgotten. The broom in one's hand that is used to sweep out the rubbish in the house should not be kept in the hand after the rubbish has been cleared out from every corner of the house. The broom also has to be thrown out in the end. The Sadguru imparts the mantra to the aspirant as a discipline. He gives a tool in the form of the mantra, which sweeps clean all rubbish in the form of doubts, fears, imagination, and concepts that have been accumulated over the infinite number of births. This tool of the mantra helps the aspirant learn how to concentrate or focus his attention, and enables the mind to become subtle. How the tool should be utilized and when it should be left alone after thought-free emptiness directly expresses itself has now been clearly explained. Now we will see what the fourth body, the great causal body, is. The great causal body is also known in the teachings of Vedanta as Turiya or Sat Chit Ananda. It is called great causal because it is above or beyond the limits of the causal body. It is the father of the other three bodies. In Hindu mythology, King Janaka, which means creator or producer, was one without a body, Videhi. He had a daughter named Janaki, which means awareness. This mythological story tells us that King Janaka is the same as the fourth body, the great causal body of Turiya. This indicates a state of consciousness that is without a body in spite of the fact that the body still exists. That is the state of knowledge in the fourth body. And this is King Janaka. Out of him, the daughter Janaki, awareness, is created. Compared with the previous three bodies, the fourth body is a state that is without a body and without any conditions, in the form of pure knowledge. However, this does not mean that it is knowledge and it's absent in the previous three bodies. It's just that it is conditioned or veiled. Knowledge is the same whether it is in an agitated condition or in equanimity. It is clean and pure in the state of equanimity as well as in the disturbed condition, even when immersed in the flood of objective knowledge. In all states, knowledge is one and the same. However, the knowledge in the first three bodies is adulterated knowledge, or conditional objective knowledge. The knowledge in the state of the great causal body is balanced with an intermingling of the three gunas, Raja, Tama, and Sattva, and can be experienced as pure knowledge. Whether knowledge is in a balanced or an unbalanced state, knowledge is always knowledge. However, it is different with respect to its conditioning. Because of the identification with particular conditionings of knowledge, a human being sees differences and creates distinctions and separateness in the one knowledge of pure consciousness. For example, the sweetness that one tastes in the various sweets, such as ladus, is all sugar. However, because it is in these particular forms, we say that the ladu is sweet. If we taste some sugar that is not mixed with any other ingredients, we will say that sugar is sweet. If someone is given a description of what sugar is like, and is given a ladu and told that the sweetness in the ladu is sugar, he will never get the knowledge of the true nature of sugar. However, if he is given pure sugar, unmixed with any other ingredients, he will know exactly what sugar is. This example illustrates why knowledge cannot be experienced in its primal state in the first three bodies, because it is always in some form of conditioning. In the first three bodies, it will always be experienced only as objective knowledge. In the fourth body, that knowledge that is non-objective and pure, and which is not apparent or not visible in the other three bodies, shines in its pure nature as consciousness. This is the reason why aspirants have to be taken to the great causal body. When pure knowledge or consciousness is known, then even if it is mixed with objective knowledge or is in any other state, the aspirant will understand correctly that the entity that is called the world is not separate or different from that which is called the knowledge of the self. Even when each state comes and goes, the witness of these states does not come or go anywhere. The one who sees the dark and fair complexion, as well as childhood, youth, and old age of the physical body, is also the one who sees all concepts, imaginings, dreams, and doubts in the subtle body. The same witness also sees the causal body where there is a complete absence of concepts, imagination, and doubt. The one who witnesses all three of these bodies is forever awake. There is a story of a woman with a peculiar characteristic who delivered a child. The child died before it knew its mother, and never saw the faces of its brother or sister that were also dead. This woman had many such children who died. The woman, however, remained where she was after burying all of the children. Not one child saw the face of another child, but the woman who had seen all the faces of the children and had within her a recognition of all those children. This is exactly like the three bodies that were born of the great causal body, which is in the form of the primal illusion, Mula Maya. However, none of these three bodies ever had the chance of seeing the face of each other or the face of their mother, the great causal body. Even while one state penetrates into the other, the knowledge present in all these states is never adulterated. Just as in the example of the thread which supports all beads equally, where one bead does not penetrate into the other, the great causal body is like that, as it pervades all the other states of deep sleep, dream, and the waking state. The state of awareness or consciousness in the great causal body is the self-luminous flame, which becomes naked without any covering whatsoever by making ignorance forget itself. Once the nature of the witnessing knowledge is known, the state of ignorance vanishes completely. Though it is true that ignorance vanishes, it is not true that the appearance of the seen or manifestation also vanishes. It is only the attitude or the understanding of the aspirant that changes. By virtue of the intensity of the study, we will experience that all that is seen and appears is in the form of knowledge. As soon one gains the understanding that it is only gold that is perceived in a piece of jewelry, the piece of jewelry itself is not destroyed. In a similar way, when it is known that everything that exists is only the Lord of the universe, the visible universe is not destroyed, just as when the light of a lamp destroys darkness, the objects that become known do not vanish. At first there was no light, and nothing was known beyond the fact that there were some objective forms. The nature of the objects simply became clearly known in the light. In the same way, when we were looking at and feeling the world with blind eyes in the darkness of ignorance, the Sadguru's advice brings correct sight, divine vision. When the flame of knowledge is lit in the inner consciousness, it spreads light all around, and the darkness of ignorance is destroyed, yet the world appearance remains, as its true nature is uncovered and revealed. In this way, the point of view from which one was viewing the world changes after one acquires true knowledge. A mirage is viewed differently from the perspective of a man and that of a deer. The object is the same, but the seeing of it is different in each case. When sand in the desert or a road stretching out into the distance becomes hot from the sun's rays, the heat waves that rise will appear to be a body of water to someone standing far away. This appearance is called a mirage. In Marathi language, the mirage is called rujala. The meaning of this is an appearance of water at a distance that entices a deer. The reason for this name is that the deer is deceived by the mirage and imagines it to really be water and runs toward it to quench its thirst. Upon realizing the absence of water, the deer becomes disillusioned. It is the limited capacity of the deer's intellect that leads it to believe the appearance of water is true. And although it looks like water, a thirsty man will not run towards it to quench his thirst. The reason for this is that the mirage is not what it appears to be, and the man understands this. He is not deceived into believing that there is the presence of water there. This is the capacity of the human intellect for discerning the true from the untrue. From the point of view of the sun, there is nothing like a mirage. From where does the appearance of a mirage arise? It is similar to this that the attitude of an aspirant who is ignorant and therefore bound, and the attitude of a liberated man, a siddha, are different. The one who is bound is driving the cart of practical duties, taking it for granted that the world is true. When an aspirant gains the knowledge of the self, he looks at the world with the attitude that it is just a temporary appearance or an illusion. However, the liberated one is one who has become the self of all and does not see the world at all. At this point, the first part of the exposition of the teaching and everything regarding the physical gross body up through the great causal body has been included. The next part of the teaching that is given after the explanation of the great causal body is the teaching of the final reality. A person cannot be called a Siddha even if he gains self-knowledge by becoming identified with the great causal body of Sat Chit Ananda and has realized that state. Even though he is accomplished, he is still looked upon only as an aspirant, a sadhak. The field where the Siddhas rest is in the field of supreme knowledge, or vijnana, the thought-free reality. However, we will not discuss that yet at this point. At this stage in the exposition, the step under our feet is the great causal body, also known as the Turiya state. First, we must discuss the great causal body in more detail. We have said that the great causal body is the state of the annihilation of ignorance. However, it should be understood that ignorance comes into consideration only in relation to the gross and subtle bodies. Actually, it has no real existence that has to be annihilated by acquiring knowledge.